And just for the record, I haven't seen any of you since 2022, so I'm going to say Happy New Year 2023. All righty, I have item number 8, and I will call that ready. I'll know by Monday. Councilor Caldwell.
Thank you, Madam President. Happy New Year's to all. Blessings. I have item 9 and through 11. I have Commissioner LaFave here.
Good afternoon. Item number 9 is to amend previous ordinance. This is to allow a 1-year extension of the current contract with Barks and Rec. This is for dog sheltering services.
Any questions?
And item 10 and 11 are both essentially the same. We have to contract with 3 different agencies or organizations to play copyrighted music. So these are 2 of them that their contracts are up at the end of December. So this is just to enter into agreement with them so that we can play music in the parks and in our facilities and any city property.
And they're only 1-year contracts?
They're all 1 year? Yes.
Yes.
They just pay us, we have to pay an annual fee, is what it is.
Okay.
So this is 2 of them. The other one comes up July 1.
So we have 3?
We have 3. We have to cover all of the range of music.
Okay.
Item number 11.
Item 10 and 11 are both license agreements for music.
Julie, I have a question. It's not here, but it came up in an email from a constituent with the parks downtown, right? So the ice rink.
I'm aware of this email.
So you, okay.
It's not illegal. There is a very legal way that it has to be posted for a credit card processing fee, but it is not illegal for us to charge a processing fee. Okay. But we are looking into it to make sure that we are posting it correctly.
Okay.
But it is not illegal.
What is the processing fee, by the way?
The processing fee, so if you come in and pay cash, there's a price. If you come in, and this is the same thing with a water bill or anything that's credit card related, we contract with the processor. There is a processing fee. The city does not take any of that. It's strictly the fee that the processor takes for doing business. So we don't profit by anything. The other option is that we absorb the fees, and I don't think that municipalities don't do that.
All right, thank you for letting me know.
Yes.
Betty.
So, Commissioner, just a little question, maybe outside of what we are talking about here, but it's related. So I see that city.
Are we talking about the credit card processing again?
No.
Sorry.
It's music.
Music, okay.
Yeah. So I see that the city offer classes or lessons in swimming, in putting basketball
Yes.
in some. Have we ever thought about helping and maybe giving lesson to kids that don't have opportunity for music lessons?
So I'm just going to put it out there, and we try to put this out on a Facebook post and any marketing annually, that we would never turn down any type of programming. It's usually just a matter of finding a person who's skilled to do that. We need to find an instructor. I mean, we would love to offer 10 times more of the programs that we do, but we just don't have people who are trained to do that. I will say, though, that at Westmoreland at one point in time, they did have a volunteer coming in and helping kids with some kind of musical aspect, but it's really about finding the people. If you can find us the people, we can offer the program and offer the skills to the kids.
What about collaboration with maybe the school district and other programs that offer music and?
So when we had the All-Star Band, that was a collaboration with an employee of the school district, but we find that they're just stretched thin as we are. They don't usually, or they're not residents, so we can't work with them.
Yeah, I would really love to explore that more and maybe talk about it.
If you know anybody ever who wants to put on a program for us, we typically don't say no as long as we can find an agreement between the 2 of us. Any other
I just want to say kudos to you for that, because I think that's significant that you're paying the music fees, because I think a lot of organizations don't.
We're legally,
That's
we
serious.
have to,
Right.
we have
Well,
to,
I know you have
yes.
to, but it's one of those things where there's not really music police flying around, so for you to do that, I think that's really good as an organization.
Believe it or not, they do try to come after you.
Yeah.
In previous municipalities,
Yeah.
we did pay for it, but they will actually search cities, like they'll go to their Facebook pages, and if they see you host any kind of concert, they will call you.
Wow.
Same thing for movie licenses. If they think you're showing a movie and you don't have a license. So they do have a police on this.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you.
All set? All righty, Councilor Caldwell for Councilor Green. Councilor Hogan for Councilor Green.
I'm subbing here for Councilor Green, our new latest entrepreneur in the city of Syracuse. So we have items 12 through 23. I think the first one's you, Brad, right?
That's right. Good afternoon, Councilors. Brad O'Connor, Commissioner of Finance. Item 12 is requesting an extension of a contract with Fuss Charles and Chambers. This is a contract that you approved back in September, was scheduled to go through December 31st. And largely what they're doing is a project that prepares us for an upgrade in our financial systems. The deliverable from this project, there's a couple of things they're going to do for us. They're going to put together a document that specifies all of our procedures, financial procedures, systems that we use. They're also going to provide some recommendations for improvement to those processes and systems, and then we can use that to start developing a new system. It'll act as an inventory of our functions and processes. We were hoping it was a 3-month project. It looks like it's a longer project. A lot of the delay is on our side. We don't really have the staff to respond to them as quickly as they'd like. So they're about halfway through the project. We're asking for an extension of this contract through April 30th. We think they can get the project done by then. We're not asking for more money. It's the same project, same scope. It's just taking a little longer than we expected.
Commissioner, before we go any further, this will be the subject of a 2 o'clock Finance Committee meeting. I think I called Ms. Dunham, Corey. You're going to have personnel here too, maybe somebody from the personnel department regarding this? Because I think this is probably a systems-wide issue.
This is the external audit meeting at 3?
Yes, because I know the finance department has some significant vacancies, and I sort of want to know why we haven't filled some of these vacancies
2 o'clock?
too.
To have HR here?
Yes, if we
Okay.
could, okay?
Yes.
So I'll suspend any more discussion until, if that's okay with my council colleagues, until the 2 o'clock meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll call that ready with a question mark, President Hudson.
Okay.
And 13 is agreement with MA Pulse Associates, who's in on that? Oh, Colette. So what are we doing here?
Afternoon, Councilors. Happy New Year. Item number 13, we're asking for an amendment to a previous ordinance. What we're doing is we're increasing the not-to-exceed amount. We reached that ceiling. And this is for some basic IT services. We went out for an RFP in May of 2021. And we anticipated using them at a certain level, and we're using them probably a little bit more. We have a lack of staff upstairs. We have a number of open positions, and we're about to have another one. So we're reaching the ceiling in which we can spend is authorized by that original ordinance. So we're asking to increase that, please.
Any questions from my colleagues? 14 is your two,
Yes.
Dave?
14 is mine as well. 14 is permission to upgrade one of our Spectrum connections here at City Hall.
Questions? 15?
Thank you, everybody.
Dave, you're not going to take off, are you? I don't mean right now, but I need you at a sidebar after the meeting.
I've got a 12:15. Can I call you after the meeting?
Well,
after my
actually,
12:15?
no, what you can do, y'all can connect
Oh,
right now.
okay. Yeah, thanks, Council President, yeah.
Okay.
I could
Yeah,
talk to you.
you could do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Who's got items 15, 16, 17? 15 and 16 anyways.
Connor Muldoon, Office of Accountability, Performance, and Innovation. Items in 15 and 16 go together. They're a continuing relationship with a third-party vendor to expand our online data warehousing capabilities.
Where's Talon located anyways?
They're a dispersed company. I believe their headquarters are in New Jersey.
Do they have any local presence at all?
I don't believe so. This relationship with this party was as the result of an RFP.
So we did have an RFP.
We did have an RFP for this one, yes.
And are these data sets like overall affects the whole city, or is it a specific area that?
So overall, it does affect the whole city. We started in our previous relationship focusing on permitting data. We're looking to move to bring additional data sets into our data warehouse, primarily focused on the way the different departments use addresses.
Different departments that use these addresses?
Actual property-based information, yes.
Any other questions from my colleagues? Hearing none, I'll go to 17,
October.
which is Department Assessment. Commissioner OJ.
That's when that was. October.
Happy New Year, counselors. Good to see you all. We've got item 17, I believe, involves pending litigation. We're looking to retain an appraiser in the context of 12 properties whose assessments are under dispute on the blocks on Solar Street between Hiawatha Boulevard and West Bear Street.
So this is a mutually agreed upon issue between Destiny and us, that we're retaining an appraiser to...
No, this is a third party who we would be retaining solely in our capacity as a party to the
So
litigation.
they're suing
Not
us, right?
correct,
Okay, and so we're trying to find out if
precisely.
appraisals are
We're looking to,
being approved by a third party appraiser too.
that's correct.
Okay. Any questions of this?
One quickie, so the total cost is 15.5 plus 350 per hour?
If we wind up going to trial, trial preparation or testimony at trial would leave us on the hook for $350 an hour for those fees. But production of the appraisal report itself and the work that goes into that is just a $15,500 lump sum.
Okay, because wording is very important. It says total cost, okay.
Must be a lot of work involved in appraising a parking lot.
And this was the low bid.
Okay, any other questions from my colleagues? And then and then 18 is correcting their tax rolls. I looked over this.
Well, we're looking to correct this past year's tax roll to reflect various sidewalk exemptions that were not initially applied, but should be under the city's sidewalk program.
Can you give us a little refresher on what those exemption, that process is? Because I contacted one of my constituents and they said, I'm on the agenda. I didn't know. Am I getting some kind of credit?
I can do my best, not seeing my colleague, Mr. Burke, here, and unless Corey would like to, Corey would love to.
Yay.
Sidewalks are my jam. Corey Dunham. So the process for exemption is if you have had your sidewalk replaced 10 years prior to the municipal sidewalk program going into effect, then you would be exempt for the 10 years. So if 10 years going forward. So if you got it done 2 years before the program started, then you'd be exempt for 8 years going forward. So the fee is waived. And we initially had talked about having people having to apply for that exemption, and we said, you know what, why don't we, rather than putting that burden on people to come to us and ask for an exemption, why don't we try to proactively identify who is exempt? And so that's what we tried to do. It was obviously, I think out of 40,000+ properties, the fact that we have 5 or 6 on the agenda right now, we pulled permits, we got lists from the contractors of what properties should not be on there, and assessment put a lot of work in trying to figure out, okay, how long is that exemption going to be good for? But, just given record keeping, there were going to be some that fell through the cracks. But if anybody is aware of anybody who thinks they're qualified for an exemption, they should, I'd be happy to have them reach out to me.
So send an email to you with
That's
a
fine.
list of names and addresses?
I have one for
I
you
have
too.
Yeah, I mean, we really did put in a lot of time and effort to try and make sure we caught everybody, but there were going to be people that fell through the cracks, which, was somewhat helpful that the fee this year was only $20.
Well, but then it's 40 and 60 and 80
Right.
and 100.
Right.
So going forward, rather than get into this whole quagmire.
Sure. No, we'd like to
Those
catch them as soon as we
information
can.
Sooner than, is it
Yeah.
worth it from a customer service standpoint, maybe for the city to put a link on the website that us counselors can direct people to click and say, I think I deserve a credit?
Mm-hmm.
You can do the research and just send an email back.
Sure, yeah, we could work something out. So, I mean, hopefully there's not too many of them out there, given the amount of time we put in, but not ruling out that they are out there.
Well, I commend the administration for going out and aggressively trying to do this, because otherwise, there's such a mass of misinformation out there about everything.
Sure.
That at least we're making the effort to try to contact people that might be able to get this exemption.
Yeah, I mean, some of these are ones that came to our attention. We do occasionally catch them, but again, we didn't want to put the burden on the property owner to come to us to apply for that exemption. We did make and it was a time-consuming process to try and proactively identify those people so that they wouldn't even see the charge on there, but, we didn't catch
Well, I
everybody.
got one for you for 17,000.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But they're only going to get $20.
So they would get it, yeah, they would,
40, and
right.
60.
The only exemption is that you are waived the municipal sidewalk fee until you reach that, after, if you got your sidewalk done in, 2014, that exemption only goes to 2024. And then after that, you're going to be paying the full price for the municipal sidewalk program. But the exemption, the fee itself is waived, but not the cost to replace the sidewalk.
And did you just go to like sidewalk permits and look and see who pulled a permit to do a new sidewalk? Is that
That was primarily what we did. We also cross-referenced it with, the city payment center has who's in the process of paying off a sidewalk, which means it would have been work done by the city, because we are finding in some cases, for whatever reason, that permit is not in record, which is, I think, how some of these folks fell through the cracks, is that we just didn't have a permit on record, and for whatever reason, it wasn't caught through that other process of going through who was still in the process of paying it off.
Counselor Schultz is one of those people, by the way.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah, no, happy to take a look.
2021, or whenever, a couple days before it went into effect. So.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Corey. Okay, any other questions? No. Number 19 is
So we're
agreement.
asking for council authorization to enter into a lease agreement for a fleet storage facility, essentially. We have millions of dollars of newly purchased fire, police, and DPW equipment that has been out in the elements historically for a very long time. We need to keep it indoors. This is a fairly urgent request, given the season we are in. I know President Hudson has been aware of this for as long as this has been a problem, perhaps. So,
I put it yearly, I think.
as we
For
develop
11 years.
11
Exactly.
predates my
Open
long
up,
tenure,
President,
even.
Do it.
So as we develop a longer-term strategy, we have this urgent need to get these new pieces of equipment under cover now. We've completed an exhaustive search of the local market, worked with brokers, and have identified this as what we believe to be a cost-effective 3-year solution to this, while we, again, bring the departments together and find out what we should do for the next generation of fleet storage.
So we're storing all this equipment outdoors, this new equipment, right now?
Rich Devesky, Fleet
Yeah, Rich.
So we lost the firehouse out at the airport, so now we're storing even more stuff outside because all those fire engines that we stored there are now outside. But yes, historically, we leave everything outside. Probably $7 or $8 million worth of fairly decent equipment. We winterize it, take all the water out, and we leave it outside.
And I know we've done an exhaustive search of any kind of warehouse space in the city of Syracuse, right? That wouldn't ever,
Exhaustive is the word.
Yeah.
exhaustive? We
lot of
we
it-
couldn't have broken it up into 2 or 3 different places?
That's a rich question.
Yeah, no. Well, I would not like to do that.
Okay.
A lot of the older buildings that are in the city, the pylons are a lot closer together. The more modern buildings, they have the space. I mean, fire engines are 50 feet long, 45 feet long. We have to get around inside. But we have sweepers. I have a list of what we would put in there. We have boats we use in the summer. All of our sweepers. We have pavers, milling machines. All of our summer equipment could be put inside for the winter. Right now, we leave it all outside.
To President Hudson's point that she's made for the last 11 years, have we ever put together like a task force to look at building one of these? How much?
It would take a lot of space. I've thought about it a lot. It would take a lot of space and there's a lot of people to dispatch out of one building. That would be tough to do, because you got to remember, police all go out at one time, sanitation all goes out at one time. You'd have to have ample roads to get in and out. There's a lot of vehicles that go in and out for the city.
So this is
Having them spread out really helps out.
So it's not just equipment that's stationary. This is vehicles that are going to be reporting to this facility daily?
No. This is just storage. This is equipment that we store for backup or for summer. I mean, this is a winter, like sweepers we don't use in the winter. We have boats, and water has boats, fire has boats, police have a command center. This is stuff that we just don't use in the winter very often. The stuff that we would need, we would put up front so we can drive it out, but for the most part, we have training vehicles. I have 8 sweepers we could put inside. I mean, I pay $200,000 each, and we just park them outside now. We don't have a place to put them.
And the condition of this warehouse is up to par.
Oh my God, this is really nice.
It's good.
It's
It's
nicer
the
than.
lease agreement and all that stuff states about
It's new, the
security and
floors.
insurances and all that.
The concrete forms were still in place when we walked through it on the 23rd. It's newly renovated, part of the former Chrysler facility out there on New Venture Gear Drive.
Okay.
So it says we're responsible for the maintenance, though, so what
That's, yeah, that's what I was
exactly
gonna
does
ask about, that
maintenance
is,
mean?
who's responsible for maintenance?
What does maintenance mean? It says we're responsible for that.
I would have to find out what we would have to do. I'm not,
Yeah, that's something we're discussing actively right now, both with the landlord and in-house. I don't anticipate too many of our employees going up there and spending significant time or resources on somebody else's building. Routine sweeping, cleaning, that sort
Yeah,
of
we'll
thing,
keep it
obviously.
clean.
What about security?
There's data there. We, I think, would be putting in cameras. Obviously, $8 million worth of equipment is not something we just want to lock up in a metal building and ignore.
So the fact that you're still in negotiation with some of these details, the 210, is that all-inclusive of everything you're expecting, including, like Councilor Gathers just said, insurance? What kind of insurance policy do you need to take out, or does ours transfer to that?
We're self-insured, and it would. They would have their own liability policy, obviously, as owner of the building. But yes, the 210 number is a hard cap. We would not be exceeding that.
I guess I just have a problem then with the whole tenant responsibility, prorated, property taxes, utilities, and interior maintenance, to maybe spell that out a little more so that we're not just assuming the 210 covers everything.
That, all of those would be under the 210. That would be an all-in number.
Okay.
210 would cover the pro rata share of their property taxes, utilities, and whatever the maintenance is that we would not be doing with our own labor.
Can you share that detail with the council?
As we get closer,
We're approving this before we have that detail confirmed.
that's a valid
A little
point.
tricky.
Well, maybe we'll hold this until, I would also like to find out who is, how do you say this, Axe LLC? Who are the?
I think they're based out of the Midwest. They reposition legacy industrial properties. They bought the Chrysler complex out of bankruptcy about a decade ago, I believe. They've mostly re-tenanted it. They've built a big new, I believe,
FedEx.
layout parcel, the big FedEx parcel. Yeah, it seems like, at the very least, physically, they've done a good job with the property and
Did they come to us, or did we go to them?
Our broker
Who's
put
our
us in
broker?
touch with them, Bart Feinberg. I shouldn't say our, but he is obviously helped us a lot in a consulting role.
The security camera is a part of this 210?
That's an open question, Counselor. There is data there, but I think we'd be responsible for putting in our own cameras. Probably IT would be the best.
Can I ask a question, because I heard what you said, Rich, and I'm hoping that down the line, when I'm gone and Hogan's gone and the rest of us are gone, I mean just gone off the council, so not gone, okay? You said that it would be kind of hard to manage all the different phases of having everybody under one roof.
yeah.
And I'm trying, okay, well, that's something we can talk about offline, because everybody has their own dispatch anyway.
It would not be coming from one central location, though. I mean, even the DPW now with, a couple hundred vehicles coming and going every morning, if you were to add, roll call from the police department or something, there'd be a lot of vehicles coming and going at the shift changes. We need a lot more room than just
About
going.
200,000 square feet, right?
I'm not sure, because you'd have to have offices and base to work on things. I'm sure that would be
I
pretty close.
still can see that happening. And because I want to know, Corey, could you get me, I just want the dollar amount. I think I asked this before too. The dollar amount of what we're paying on each facility, that fire, DPW, police, what we're paying.
So that we're leasing from other entities? I mean, $560,000. And is that just SPD?
No, that's all.
That's all of them.
City.
That includes all of the overhead with the lights, the waters, all that stuff?
Only leased facilities.
That's just the leasing.
That's just what we pay in rent.
Correct.
Yeah, $560,000. So I mean, this is really, I don't think I need to make the case, but this is really the next step in fleet management. We've spent a significant portion of money to get these new vehicles, and it really only makes sense for us to protect those investments. I mean, because if you drive down to DPW in the winter, you'll just see trucks everywhere, just, and it's not good for them. And I think, I think the dream would be to have one giant facility, one big campus for all of us, but I think in the interim, having Rich, who, although he's located at DPW, is working across the department so that we can make sure that there's coordination, so that it's not as if everybody, the water department is working in a silo and the DPW garage is working in a silo and SPD and fire, that Rich is really able to bridge all those departments to try and make sure that there's coordination. So if there are passenger vehicles that need oil changed, you send that down to the water shop because they have mechanics that can do that, whereas DPW they're busy working on heavy equipment or something. So I mean, Rich is really able to coordinate that, short of one giant campus for all of us, that he's able to coordinate our resources to the highest
And I
use.
appreciate it because, like you said, we spent $8 million on equipment that we do need to protect. But again, I mean, when we talk about spending $500,000 just to lease, and not including the overhead.
So I don't know if those are $560,000 that's just vehicle related. I mean, some of that is office space, I would assume, yeah. So, I mean, it's not as if we lease $560,000 related to fleet to rent space. I think a lot of it is office space that we lease in other facilities, but I don't think there's a lot of it dedicated to fleet. So this would be something we haven't done before. Because fire stored their equipment out at the airport, and DPW, we just left it out in the yard all winter and wondered why it wouldn't work when we tried to start it up in the spring.
So Corey, has it been, at any point, has there been any discussion around, rather than constant leasing, maybe building something or a warehouse that?
I mean, I think that's part of what Matt is referencing in terms of, a long-term plan. I think also, we need to look internally whether or not the city has a great track record of maintaining the facilities that we own. In some cases we do, in some cases we don't. And so making sure that we're equipped to really manage something, or is it, especially something of that size, do we have the resources to maintain something of that size, or does it make sense for us to lease? So that way, structural repairs or things that maybe we've struggled with are the landlord's responsibility, and we're there for, the day-to-day operations. So we haven't ruled out, whether or not we should be building our own facility. I think that's just more of a long-term plan. But in the immediate term, we want to get these trucks out of the snow and cold and get them into a facility.
Well, I think you're right, Corey, but it's a long-term plan that nobody's really doing any work on. I mean, we're not talking about a capital plan for something like this, but we are, you just mentioned $565,000 of lease space. So, I mean, that could pay, we could probably bond and pay a lot of money.
So I think
I'd like to see some sort of at least we know, so we know what we're talking about. President Hudson's been talking about it for 11 years. If we had a price tag on how much something like that would cost, of course, we'd have to have a location and everything else.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's a significant acreage to find in the city to build something.
Exactly.
Build that kind of facility. And there's a reason why some of those facilities are not found in the city, because there's a higher and better use for those properties. Is a couple acre storage facility really the best and highest use of property in the city? But we are looking into that. I mean, that's kind of where this all started, was Rich saying, we should have a facility that works for all of us. And we said, that land mass really doesn't exist in the city. And even if it did, is that the best use of that property? It's just a big storage facility. And so, as Matt referenced, they did an exhaustive search in the area to try and find something that would fit our needs and we felt was a fair price.
Okay. Any other questions? So I'll call this ready. Is that okay, Councilor Schultz, President Hudson?
Well, I mean, if we're okay with approving the money before we know the details of the rest of the agreement, it could come back.
I mean,
You're going to get her.
We can get some additional details.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Number 20. Okay, who's number 20? Abstract. Matt, you need number 20? No? This is for, yeah? This is for for the titles.
Yep.
Abstract. We're
Good afternoon,
prices.
counselors. Patrick Parkinson, Department of Law. Yeah, so I think that this is just adding another title agency to the ordinance that was previously approved. I'll double check that and get back to you on Monday.
Okay.
Thanks.
Are we upping the prices a little bit?
No, it's the same amount as
I think
approved.
we had conversations about the law department about upping the prices as far as school check on that.
Yeah, we'll check it. I'll get back to you. Thank you.
In the interest of efficiency, okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, 21, 22, 21 and 22, this is for Law 2, I think. This is bond ordinance regarding property damage to the Immaculate Conception. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll assume that we're going to an executive session for the
Monday.
next three then.
On Monday.
Yeah, okay. So I am done there, President Hudson.
All righty. Counselor Gathers.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 24 through 33.
Good afternoon, counselors. Happy New Year. It's Mary Robison, City Engineer. Item 24 is a request for an agreement with IFT Wright, doing business as Intel AQ. In 2022, you approved a donation of an air purification system that was installed to improve air quality and energy efficiency in the DPW offices. This also included software and a dashboard for real-time monitoring of effectiveness and efficiency of the HVAC equipment in the building. So we're asking for an agreement to continue that air monitoring and software technology. We researched other companies to whether they could provide this same service, and nobody provides it in one package. So that's why we requested a waiver of the RFP process from the mayor. So the agreement would be $12,672, but that covers a 3-year period. And then there's a request for 2 one-year extensions with your approval at that time.
And this software has been working up to its full potential. There's been no hiccups or anything like that.
I believe so, yes.
Perfect, good.
Was there air monitoring before they came to us with free devices?
No.
No. And are you monitoring the office space? Or
Yes.
is it the?
No, it's not the
maintenance areas?
annex or the MEM garage. It's strictly the office area, lunchroom.
Are DPW departments more susceptible to bad air quality or?
I would say so, with all the equipment, machinery running, and vehicles. And I know DPW staff and the crews had concerns with the air quality there.
So if something were to go wrong with the air quality or go to dangerous levels, what's the abatement plan or how do you deal with that?
I will, you know Ian?
Sorry.
I have Ian Brown, an engineer in my department.
Happy New Year, Ian Brown. I've been working with this company since they installed the equipment through the pilot agreement. And what the monitoring does is it monitors. Monitors. It monitors air quality in all the different offices where we have the sensors. And it individual spikes in like VOCs or ozone or all the different, bad things we can get in the air. And we immediately get real-time information that that's happening and we can react right away. So it's really, it's impressive technology. So it's.
So when you act right away, what does that involve? Turning
So
off the
we get a
purifiers?
spike, we let our steam fitters know. We have to change the volume of the air control in that room or see if there's something wrong with the sensor itself or filtration. So it's, there's actually air scrubbers in the ducts. So they pick up, it's similar to like a UV system where it would pick up, like a COVID germ, it would pick it up and kill it in the air. So, but these are a lot more precise and efficient, so, yeah.
Last question, I promise. These are not EPA mandated or anything, are they? Like
No,
you
no.
get testing done regularly to make sure that you're compliant with whatever levels are required?
Well, there's certain safety levels like PASHA and OSHA that you need to maintain in the workplace, but we don't get into that really with this system. It's very unique, and it's the first time, we're one of their early guinea pigs. They have equipment at Upstate and Kraus. So they're starting to get out and about, and we're seeing the results right now. You know, that it's cleaning the air, and we have the ability to, you know, control our air quality in a lot better, more efficient way.
I think this
So.
is terrific. I mean,
Yeah.
I commend you for, you know, caring about the employees and
Yeah.
cleaning up the air. I mean, this is sort of, we're ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff.
Well, ultimately, we would like to expand other buildings, but we're going to start at DPW. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, item 25 and 26.
Rich DeVesti again. 25, 26, and 27 are just, we're just moving money that we already approved for purchases because we went to quote the trucks out. They came out to be a lot higher. So instead of buying a certain amount, there's a little money left over. So I just want to buy additional pickup trucks. So we quoted out some large trucks, and they came in a lot higher after they were original thought the cost was going to be. So instead of buying as many as we could, we bought only 2, and so I have money left over. I just want to move it over to buy pickup trucks, buy other equipment with it. There's no additional money. The same with 27. It's just an extra piece of equipment for the DPW.
Any questions? Thank you. 28.
28 is an application agreement with New York State EFC for some funding under the bipartisan infrastructure law for the Outer Eastwood Sewer Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $3,240,500. The total, we did a study a couple years ago. We're closing it out right now. The total recommendations from that study is $6,364,000. But we are going to be seeking other sources of funding through EFC to try and reduce our local share, or maybe we'll do a smaller project, you know, if we don't get that additional funding. But this is a good step towards start implementing those recommendations from that study.
Any questions?
Does this help my cause with the whole sewer capacity and improving streets and all of that we've been
It
talking
helps
about?
with the sewer capacity. It's a lot of sewer lining, which would prevent the inflow of stormwater into the sanitary sewer. So it should help with sewer backups in the Eastwood area, and surface drainage issues that we've talked about. It could help with that if it's a combined sewer, and, you know, it would increase the capacity of the combined sewers, but not, if there's grading issues on some of the unimproved streets that we've discussed, it won't help with that. It's strictly for the sewer pipes underground.
But the draining issues on some of the streets, if there were drains that it went into, it would go to that bigger capacity, right?
Yes, but that would be if there's existing drains. This project didn't include adding storm drainage. So on some of your streets that don't have the storm drains, that's not part of that wasn't part of the study.
But
The
if we're
study
making it bigger, we can find some other monies to maybe put some more drains
Maybe.
in order to get
But
some
not
more
with this,
stormwater into that
not with
system.
this money is based on the study. That's how they chose the project.
Okay.
Good job, Mary.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Okay, items 29 and 30.
Good afternoon, Happy New Year. Joe Awald, Commissioner of Water. Item 29 is to amend our previous ordinance to include a waiver of bidding for the specialty valves, pressure reducing valves made by Ross that we have. We have to include waiver of bidding because for their maintenance work, we didn't have that on the last one. So it's just a amendment to our previous ordinance. Any questions?
Perfect.
Item 30 is another amendment to our list of vehicles we need to purchase. We're not increasing the cost of this, just what vehicles we are purchasing. We found some immediate need and found some good pricing on this, so we're swapping out one of our 1-ton trucks to add some additional smaller pickups. Any question?
31.
31 is our annual entering into an agreement with Cornell Cooperative Extension regarding the education program and the farm business management services we provide every year. Any question?
32.
And
Question
30,
about 32.
sure. I
Okay.
think it's 32 and 33.
You can do both, and we'll just.
I think they're
Actually-
the same.
No,
Hopefully the same
sorry,
thing.
it's 31.
All right.
You went so efficiently, fast, that.
Go back, 31.
So I think that's a great program. I did some research on that, but I wondered how, is it a requirement for, say, the farmers that are in the area to take these courses, or?
It's not a requirement. We have a very good relationship with all the farmers in the watershed. It's a program we've been doing for years. This program is kind of part of our filtration avoidance.
Okay.
As part of that. And it's a volunteer of the farmers to get involved. And we've had a very good outreach with our staff to them through the whole program. So very, very well received by everyone down there.
So I'd like to make a recommendation that you put a link to this CCE website to your water department website, because I think, especially with the algae blooms, that counselors are constantly asking, why is the water brown? What's going on? There's a lot of really good work that Cornell's doing to address those issues. There were YouTube webinars, all kinds of things that we can just direct them there and say, click away.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll look into that. Thank you. All right, and I think 32 and 33 is for bond authorization for our water main replacement capital. This year, we're looking at $4.5 million to do water main replacement. And this is going to incorporate different streets based on our capital projects and coordinating with engineering on some of their capital projects to get as many water mains replaced as possible. Any questions?
And this was chosen based upon, of course, the old water things that need to be replaced and all that.
Yeah, so we're looking at what capital projects we have where we want to add additional water main replacements. You know, we're coordinating with engineering on if they're doing a road restoration that, hey, let's get in there and get our water mains replaced if they're 100 years old before you pave the road and we have to get back in there. Also, this will look at some of the lead service replacement that we're going to be looking at doing in the next couple of years as part of the lead service replacement program. So we want to get ahead of it a little bit.
Yeah, not to put too much, but if you don't mind, can I get a list of like the outdated, like the older water things?
How
that need to be
old
replaced?
do you, where's your cutoff date?
Let's,
You want 80 years old, 100 years old?
what's a good lifespan?
Well, pipes, you typically figure lifespan, about 50 years is a good lifespan for a pipe.
Okay.
We have a lot of pipes that are 180, 120.
Yeah, so
So we have quite a variety.
anything over 50.
Anything over 50?
Yeah.
All right, it's going to be
So is this
a list.
common practice to ask for permission for something for the capital campaign?
Yes,
Before we
do
get
this-
into the budget hearings?
Yeah, every year we look at doing our capital projects, or our capital improvements requests come January.
It's all predicated on the resources available, right?
Right.
Joe, I mean,
It's
it's
just-
like, like you gotta have the contractors and our people and everything else involved.
Yeah.
Councilor Hogan, it's, maybe finance can probably preach on it. Maybe budget or someone could talk on it, because, it is part of the mayor's 23-24 capital improvement plan, right? And, so the money is not coming out of this year, and it's being bonded, it's not cash. Is someone here to speak on how that worked? Frank.
Tag you're
Frank, are you
it.
with us today, or?
Tag you're it.
Frank Leva, the city's chief administrative officer. I apologize, I didn't hear the question. But I'm happy to try and fake a response.
All right, there's a couple items on the agenda that's tapped into the 23-24 improvement plan. And the question is, what can you actually explain to the council how it's coming up right now and not in that budget year? I just added that as part of the mayor capital improvement plan.
So the capital improvement plan is on a different cycle than the normal budget, than the regular budget. The plan was just drafted and is in final review in the mayor's office right now. And so that will be delivered to you as a matter of information. It's a plan. And then as the programs and projects come up, each of those individually come to you for approval. And one of the questions you rightfully always ask is, was this in the plan? And that plan is a collaboration of both what kind of cash we expect to have on hand, what kind of bonding and bonding authority we have, and then how much of those projections actually come to fore. Does that help?
So if we authorize this now, and then it comes time for the budget, and we just don't have 4.5 in there to fund it, do we have to deauthorize it?
So normally what we do, and I think on this particular instance, so the bonding for the water department, while it does come under our overall authority, it is, we project it around the water and sewer fund specifically, so it is not considered part of the, we don't look at it as part of the general fund flows, we look at it as part of the water flow specifically, and the water revenue specifically. But to answer your specific question, we normally take the most conservative route in the way we authorize it. So we'll normally authorize it as bonding, and then if the cash is available at the time that the project actually goes, we'll use cash, or we may split. Bonding is always considered to be the most conservative way. So if you've the tradition is, if you've authorized bonding, you've also authorized the project, and you've authorized us to use cash.
Okay, helpful.
Did I even come
And
close?
it's not like coming from cash capital 22, 23, so, you know, that. Yeah.
Right. Because the capital improvement plan works on a calendar year, and the budget is obviously not on a calendar year.
And the water department generates its own revenue, so therefore we can bond.
And we always do our projections around that, correct.
Hypothetically, though, not you, Frank, Joe, do you see, because I know we've been digging up those pipes for many years now, and how far are we, even a quarter of the way of removing all of the pipes we need to remove?
That's a very good question. You know, there's certain criteria you want to look at to remove pipes. There's certain pipes we are in good shape, so we're, you know, they're not leaking, they're not in bad shape, so why disturb something that's not needing it? Some of the other,
As far as what's needed, do you see in the near future, when we're all probably gone, how long will it take before all of these pipes are up to codes?
So condition assessment is one of the things we're looking at with our new CMMS software. We'll have the analytic component of it coming in our next phase that we just approved a couple months back. We're going to look at the age, the number of breaks, and all that stuff. So that's going to help us focus on those problem areas, or the ones that we need to replace, and give us a total and how much we need to do, but we're not there yet.
How many water main breaks this year?
We tallied up to, I think, 315. So it's less than average and less than the previous couple of years, so that's good.
You know,
Right track.
Are there different categories amongst those water main breaks?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. And so there's water main breaks, there's water main leaks, and then you have other stuff in there as well, like service breaks. But all of it we consider as a water main break, because we're going to be out there digging and working and getting everything repaired.
Do you have an inventory of the lead service replacement that has been done already, or what hasn't?
So lead service inventory is part of the new lead copper rule, which is coming into effect. The state hasn't gotten the definition of what we need to provide as the new lead copper rule, which is due October 16th, 2024. But right now we have a pretty good handle on all the public side service material, and we are currently in the process of investigating the private side between records, permits and all that type of stuff. We're looking at what's on the private side, the homeowner side of the service. So the distinction is public side is at the curb box to the road. Everything from the curb box, which is around the sidewalk area, into the house is private.
Okay.
So we're responsible for the public component, homeowner responsible for the private.
So, is that all, do you have a place, is it all done in the city with the exception of this, or no?
What do you,
All the replacement of the lead pipes?
oh no, we have a lot of lead pipes to replace.
So what
A lot of lead
percentage of the
service.
city would you say is done?
I think right now we're looking, there's probably around 14,000 lead services still within the city. So as we're doing these capital projects and we're replacing the mains, we're replacing all the services as well. So there's 34,000 accounts plus or minus in the city.
Okay.
So about 50%.
So, Commissioner, and I was about to make a point earlier that, you know, over the years, it appeared that we had, compared to this year, you know, that we've been doing a little better in terms of water main breaks, right? Because it's not as frequent as it used to be, right?
Correct.
Which bring me to my next question. Apart from being reactive in fixing the water main, what's the proactive plan in terms of fixing it? Like, is there an amount of main pipes that you have put into plan that you fix every year beside what's come up? And on top of that, how many of the wooden pipes are still down there?
All right, the second part of your question is real easy. There are no wooden pipes in service.
Okay.
There might be old ones buried that are disconnected, but there are none in service.
Okay.
For your first part of the question, so proactively, we've been looking at our big transmission mains. The ones that are the backbone of the system to get water all through the city. So a couple years ago, instead of replacing and digging up the water mains on Montgomery, which is a 24-inch main, we did pipe lining. So we lined the interior of the pipe to provide structural integrity, and that old pipe, cast iron pipe that size, wasn't built in 20-foot sticks like ductile iron is today. It was built in 6-foot, 8-foot sticks, so you have numerous number of joints along that stretch. And that's where we see on the bigger pipes where we have the leaks, it's the joint leaks. So lining the interior of the pipe prevents any leaks from occurring at those joints. So we're tackling the bigger mains that way. We have probably a project that we'll look at coming up here in the spring of lining some additional large main on West Genesee
I
Street.
was just going to ask you, because they blow up every day.
Yep. So we're trying to get the big mains, because replacement of the big mains is difficult, and the cost of pipe has skyrocketed. Not only the cost, but the delay in getting the pipe to us is 12 months out. So any projects we want to do on a big pipe, we're talking years in the future. Lining is pretty quick, and it has a good return on it. We don't dig up the street for long stretches. We dig up to, ports basically to access the pipe, line 500 feet, 1,000 feet at a time, patch those spots, and we can walk away.
The first spot you're going to start is all the way up West Genesee Street, right?
So West Genesee Street, we're looking at lining the big pipe that's between Plum and Geddes. As part of the engineering project, we coordinated on water main replacement for a stretch through, I think from an engineering contract that's from like State Fair Boulevard to Eureka's water main replacement. We proactively did the last couple blocks of West Genesee for water main replacement and lead service replacement. So West Genesee's getting a lot of work done in coordination with engineering because of their big paving project that's coming forward.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So as you taking up the pipes, I mean, thank you very much. Is much needed in our community. But when you guys are taking them up, they're patching the, pavement, and are you guys connecting with DPW to say, okay,
yes,
this is like
yeah,
we're doing this to make sure they get okay.
Correct. We're trying to overlap our projects, so we're not going in there doing something, then somebody else is going in and doing something, and then it just keeps getting ripped up year after year after year. Trying to coordinate all those efforts, so it's kind of like a one and done, dig once type of approach.
So you're going to go all the way past that Rite Aid, right? Down that way on West Jenny.
City line, yeah.
City
All
line?
the way to city
Okay,
line.
so it's going all the way
Yep,
down
all
to
the way to
city
Myrtle.
line.
Yep. I think we're finishing up that Myrtle block this week.
I think we all have to be aware that this administration has been particularly aggressive in replacing water main and addressing the problems that we traditionally have had, instead of waiting around for the state to begging the state for the money. We went out bonded, and thank God we got this American Rescue Plan money too from President Biden. So, I mean, I have to commend you, and it's all predicated on the resources available and what you can address, and I think you've done a great job, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And the administration has on this stuff.
Speaking of resources, what as the fees that were raised have done anything at all in terms of improving how fast you replace the pipes?
Our water rates?
Yes.
Yeah, so the water rates that we set, was it a year ago, or 2 years ago? No, I don't remember. But that's increased our revenue, so now we can tackle more of these projects.
But have
Along
you,
with
have
that-
you been able to specifically done anything, like, in terms of, say you replace 5 a year, and because of the water rate going up now, you could do 7 or more, you know what I mean? Have you done that at all, or?
So I haven't broken it down to that detail, but I know over the last 4 years, we've done, I don't want to know this number exactly because it's been a while since I looked at it, but around $15 million in capital projects, and we've been successful in obtaining about 10 to 12 million in grant funding for those projects. So that additional funding has helped us meet that short gap to get those capital projects done. And that involves water main replacement, pump station replacement, all different projects. We had our fluoride facility out in Skinny Atlas Lake just rehabbed and completely redone. Chlorination system out at Skinny Atlas Lake redone. So a lot of capital projects in the last 4 or 5 years.
And last one, and I'll leave it to other councilors. Now, as I would like to really see, sustainably, what it would take a year, just so that we can get to a point where we are not getting water main break almost every week. What would that look like in terms of replacing? What would you need to fix at least a year, maybe for the next 10 years, to be able to be in a good position?
I think the study we looked at 5, 6 years ago was $50 million a year for 10 years to replace all the water mains in the city. So that's an astronomical amount.
Added up to about $1 billion, yeah.
So we're tackling as we can get them, coordinating with other departments to cost share of restorations. Pavement is a big one. Pavement restoration is a big cost. So we take a look at how we can coordinate and do an effort together rather than just going solo and trying to do everything.
Well, give them 10 years. They'll be able to solar them out, drop them in, and move on.
Probably.
One last question. You know how they have the snow plow map that shows the streets? Is there any way to do the water main map or the replacement, just so that we can see as counselors, oh, your street's purple, yours was replaced 2 years ago? Because, people aren't necessarily going to know that. And I know National Grid has that for their gas line service. It's amazing. You can see what streets are. They're almost done with their gas
So what
lines.
streets where we're working or a street overall of?
Working or has been replaced. Like, one could be purple, one could be red, and then the ones that have no color have had nothing, and they need to be replaced.
Yeah, we can, that's part of our upcoming project with the lead service stuff. We have to make a public component of that for each residential property. But we can look at having some information of what work we've accomplished and where.
Great, because I think sharing that with National Grid, I'm sure you talked to them too, but the whole dig once concept, there's lots of moving parts out there. So if you had your pretty map every June, you say, oop, check out our map, and I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Oh, wait. One more quick one. This is what I want to ask you, because I know in the city, we have some streets that cross over. Some are state, some are county. Which ones do we have streets that have water main problems that should be addressed by the county?
All the water mains are owned by us, so they're our responsibility to operate and maintain. So there's nothing owned by the county that they would share. But if they were doing road work, such as, they just did the sewer replacement on a green infrastructure project on West Genesee Street, we kind of coordinated with them on work that had to get done in that project location. So that way restoration was done in conjunction with their project as well.
Okay. Well, I know they paved one of Harrison, one of those streets the county paved downtown. I know that. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
Commissioner, you've been good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, I'm all set.
Your turn.
Okay, I have items 34 and 35. 34 is, okay. Mr. Parkinson, it seems like we're amending something we already passed, but we're moving the use, the certificate of use into another section, is that? what I'm
Yeah,
discerning?
that's correct. This is a technical amendment to the C of U amendment authorized by General Ordinance number 24/2022. Essentially, this amendment just changes where the amendment is housed within the city's general ordinances, and it will assist us in updating Muni Code as well, so.
Okay. Any questions on this? Good job, Mr.
Thanks.
Parkinson. And 35 is Commissioner OJ. You've been out there quite a bit, I'll tell you.
I have, but it's been valuable
We're talking
time, I
about
think.
another parking lot here.
We are looking to get council authorization to sell a small parking lot at 2102 South Salina Street at the corner of Wood Avenue.
And this will to aid this, a business.
This is in support of economic development, a great project in the castle.
Land Bank was involved, the castle, and a few other places, so this sounds like a great project.
That's correct. Obviously, as an event venue, this property will need some parking. It's primarily a residential neighborhood to the west. Any provision of off-street parking is a great thing, and we think it's an underutilized city asset, but it will be great in support of this project.
And I think Mr. Ennis probably wants to talk a little bit about this.
That's right, you finished. You see me behind. So, good afternoon, councilors. Eric Ennis, BD. The only thing I was just going to add to what Matt has already shared is that city is in support of the sale from our perspective. It is the investment of the old previous South Presbyterian. That project and that development, this lot would be owned by that same developer and then would go to support the final use of that project in that space. One question that had come up through this process, and Councilor Allen and I talked about, is right now, since it is public, it's a public asset, it is used at times for community events and different community purposes. The developer has confirmed, or the purchaser has confirmed, that this lot will continue to be made available for those types of community events. So we just wanted to simply state that as part of this process.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Councilor Allen.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you. Councilor Majuk.
Thank you, Madam President.
Oh, yeah, with the one, yeah. That's
Anybody from that, you gonna take it, Commissioner? Okay.
Good afternoon, councilors. Michael Collins, Commissioner of Neighborhood and Business Development. The item we've got in front of you right now is to amend ordinance that was approved earlier in 2022 to co-locate mental health counselors from Contact Community Services within the 911 call center. This is a pilot that we're doing in conjunction with the county, and so the county has also been funding this. The ramp-up time, as it can happen when you're making a significant change to an existing system, took a bit longer than expected, and we had promised you outputs. And so what we've worked with the county and Contact Community Services to have the county take on more the front end of this contract while they were getting this program during the extended ramp-up time, so that we'll be paying for it when it's actually fully functioning, which it is now. So what all we're doing here is asking that we change the contract dates for when the city is supporting the pilot. That's all.
So when is this contract supposed to initially end?
The city was going to cover the second half of 2020, of 2022, so we were going to go July 1 to December 31st. We're now shifting that now. We've put in here to be able to extend it through the end of the year if necessary, but we believe we'll be able to do it from now until mid-year, until June 30th.
Okay, how has it, since, and the county has been doing it, how has that worked?
So our partners, this is, one of the things that's great about working in this administration is the fact that we're really collaborative. So it's our partners at SPD that have been doing it. I've been talking with Deputy Chief Russin. I'm not going to speak for SPD, but my understanding is that, what we know, what is laid out within what you previously approved, is that the calls that come in, approximately 3% of them are calls. The calls that come into the 911 center, but approximately 3% of them are calls that are persons in crisis that could be diverted to a mental health professional right there before determining that someone needed to be sent out. And so what 911 would do, what those callers, call takers would do, was be able to determine which calls can be transferred, put them in touch with a professional that's right there also in the call center. If someone does need to have a response, that can be transferred right back within that same call, and then the 911 staff can dispatch either police, fire, or also Liberty Resources, who, as you recall, has been doing the street outreach for us.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to get at is how has it worked so far? Could we have anything to?
So there was a delay in the calls being transferred to the mental health professionals from contact. That's something that Syracuse Police, county staff, and variety county departments have been working through why that delay was in place. I'm not in a position to speak for it. My understanding, having talked with both SPD and with the county, is that those delays have largely been resolved.
That's one of the reasons why the extension is being offered.
So, Commissioner, 11 to 7, was that vetted? Are those the hours that our crisis team is needed the most?
So this was based off of the data that we had previously from when those persons in crisis calls were coming in. So yes, that's when the highest volume of calls typically are. There'll be the chance to reevaluate as well once they've been able to do this.
After the
Exactly.
pilot.
Yep.
Okay.
This is just for the best use of city resources. As it was getting up and running, we didn't want to expend city resources while the county was working out the kinks in the system. That's for the change in the contract.
Okay, so the hours were vetted. Okay.
And we'll find out whether those hours are truly the hours.
Right, because lately, this past week, it's been 1 o'clock in the morning.
And Deputy Mayor, nothing changed with the contract but the extension, right?
Of the dates.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Good.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, councilors.
Morning. Rich Schaff, First Deputy Chief, Police Department. 37's application and agreement to, and with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services under the 2022 body worn camera program, an amount not to exceed $90,000. So what we're going to do is buy 45 additional cops cameras to get cameras on our support staff officers and our investigation staff officers. So we currently have all our patrol officers, all our patrol sergeants. And now we're looking to expand it into people that traditionally wear suits and ties.
So we still don't have money for fixing camera. We just have
Still have body worn
These are
cameras.
body-worn.
Body-worn cameras.
Okay.
We do have money, and those are being fixed as we speak. They just had a couple more coming online recently. So they're going through and replacing the old cops camera systems now.
Okay.
Chief, back to the body worns. I asked this question earlier in leadership. So with the 45 coming in, is that gonna almost fit all officers, detectives, everybody? Is that gonna fit everybody?
That was the number we came up with. It wouldn't do sergeants, lieutenants, and captains in the other bureaus. The sergeants and patrol divisions have them. Like Sergeant Romaine, he's a uniform guy. He wears a camera. But it will, yes, this will outfit all the worker bees, all the patrolmen, all the detectives.
And then do we plan to move up the ladder with the sergeants, lieutenants, and the captains, or no?
We could, but that's not the plan right now.
Okay, so all of our officers are fitted for cameras, period.
Yep.
Chief, it's off the question about the cameras. Just want to know how many officers we have now and how many are still down.
I think we're around 380.
Okay.
Just graduated 11 new ones, yay.
Yeah.
So how many more do we need to be at full capacity?
473 was our full capacity.
So I think our number's 423.
It was
authorized
473. It's 423 now, but it was, at our high, we was at 473.
Actually, our high was at 525.
Yeah. Because when I came, it was 473.
So which one is it, 525 or?
No,
I think we could probably run a pretty good police department at 473, but we can't get that far. So 423 is a number that works for us right now. If we can ever get that number, we can start having discussions on how to get higher.
But the problem is with people applying, correct, Chief? I mean, we don't have enough people that want to be police officers.
We do not have enough people that want to be police officers.
So 473 is a little, I mean, right now, like President Hudson just said, we're talking about, we have 380. I think we're maxed out at 424, we're budgeted for 425. So we're still down 45 officers right now, so 473 is sort of
And you hit the nail on the head. The problem is there's not enough people who want to be police officers. Going back as recently as 4 or 5 years ago, the problem was how fast could we put them through? We don't have that problem anymore. Now we just can't get.
And if we put them through, then somebody else gonna steal them anyway. So,
Hopefully not.
yeah, well, we know how that works. Here comes the state troopers and the county and the
County
sheriff,
Sheriff's
everybody.
Department.
Yep, so we started recruiting for the phase 2 of the cadet program. We're gonna be funding this completely ourselves. Right now, we're advertising to get people here. We still have our coordinator on scene, so we're getting ready to go with the second round of it. Should be up to 10 new cadets. So if you know anybody that's interested in a career in law enforcement and that just got out of high school, maybe just got out of college phase in their life.
Could you send us like the flyer, Chief, electronically?
Facebook. Yes, out
I
there.
think I saw it.
Yeah, Lieutenant Malinowski put it on Facebook for us.
Okay.
Yep.
Can download.
Chief, out of the 11 new officers, how many, well, they just started, right, training, right?
They just, yes.
Okay, so there's nobody's weaned off or anything yet?
Yep.
This is the start, okay,
Yep, yes, Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday was their first day.
okay. All right, thank you.
And then you have 11 new that just started training, right?
That's what I'm talking about. They just started Tuesday. We have a class
Graduated
graduating
11. Yeah.
the 13th. It's a class of 5.
Oh,
They're graduating on the 13th.
okay.
Just one more question, Chief. In regards to the cameras, how are we doing with managing the budget with storage and data and stuff like that? Has that been?
So far, we're good.
And with this 45 additional, it should be still.
There will be additional costs for storage and whatnot, but the initial grant will get us the cameras and the affiliated costs to get them up and running.
Okay.
All right. And there's no match on this.
Thank you. We appreciate no match. But if we could get us back up to our full, I'm gonna say 473, would that give us opportunity to open back some of the units?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it most certainly would.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Fire?
Fire, it's a fire.
Hello, everybody.
It's so good to see you, Chief.
Nice seeing you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Madam
Chief.
President.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, common councilors. Item number 38 is your approval to go into an agreement with the county for an arson control plan. This plan is mandated by New York State law. It hasn't been revised since 2008. If you have any questions, I have a newly promoted captain that is in charge of our fire investigation unit. If you guys have any questions for that.
I'm just curious about what is an arson control plan? I've never heard of that.
I'll let Captain Joe Fennell come up and explain that.
Also, Chief emailed it to me. I'll make sure I email it out to you all, too. Okay.
He emailed the plan?
Yeah.
How you guys doing? Joe Fennell, Fire Department.
Oh, okay.
So the arson control plan, it's required by the state. All counties must have one. It essentially is our plan to investigate fires. The only thing that changed in this one is it now accurately updates our training. The last one just showed our training to be state level training. We now meet the national standard, and it now it more accurately reflects our investigator numbers.
Is this something that you've been doing right along?
Yeah.
Yeah, its last revision was in 2008, so it's been a while since it's been revised.
Before you came to us, because I haven't seen this in a minute.
Yeah, this is state regulated, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be done by state law. They require it. It's a countywide plan. It's our plan to work with the police department and the prosecutor's office for, again, an arson or other fires that need to be investigated.
So if was 2008, what is it? It has to be revised every, 13 years?
There is no revision schedule. The state put out a template of essentially what they were looking for in the plan. So to make sure that our current plan fit, we revised it now.
Okay, it
And
meets
this-
state guideline, okay.
I'll send it on quite
This-
straight. It's probably about this big. You probably
Don't send it to my email, please.
Okay.
So,
It's just be filed in the clerk's office. It's procedure by law.
And this is
But this-
done how often?
I don't know, anyone from law know or,
I have never seen it.
yeah, well,
well, it also says at the bottom that it must, it says the common council recognizes that the plan must be approved by the county
Right.
legislator prior to
right, it
submission.
yeah, it has to come in front of you all when,
Right.
I don't know, do we all want to speak on it because I'm not.
But Pat, have you ever seen this?
Not that I remember.
I've never seen it.
Well, it's there. It's been
Oh, I
there.
get that, but we've never seen it come across our table.
Yeah, and I don't think most of the time you all, the council prior to that paid much attention to it because they knew it was
You
mandated
talking
by
about
the
that
state.
man and that man right there.
Yeah, Nader,
No, no, Nader, no?
well, he's just
Maybe
never
not.
seen it. It's definitely in our, it's definitely in our index and we definitely do it, so, and it's required, like the young man's, I'm sorry.
And you don't know how frequent it has to come through us?
Councilors Patrick Parkinson Law. I don't know how frequently it comes up. I did look at the 2008 ordinance that we passed. Essentially, it's required by the state that the county do this, and the state and the county, like the city of Syracuse, to approve the plan, essentially because the city of Syracuse is responsible for fire policing in the city of Syracuse, right? Fighting fires, investigating fires. So that's what it's coming to you for approval, at which point, after which the county legislature will approve it.
Right, and it goes in front of the county, I think next week or something like that. Someone told me that.
And you happy with this, Chief? You good to go?
Yes, and just to be clear, this only needs to be revised when there are changes that are needed by state law. So they had things that were needed by state law, we revised it, and we're bringing it in front of you to approve it.
Okay. Is the, Captain Fennell, is the arson unit, you guys fully equipped well? Because you guys been getting slammed this year.
Yeah. No,
Last year, yeah.
we've, in the last couple of years, we've actually been able to train more investigators. We have a couple more that are going to be trained in April this year. That's when the class is. So we're managing pretty well.
Okay.
Kudos to you guys.
Well, if you're good with it, I think,
If you want a copy of it, just,
all right, that will, thank you.
Thank you.
39, Chief?
And items 39, 40, 41, and 42 are related to the Fire Department Capital Improvement Plan. Our department utilizes a 6-year vehicle replacement program that's in line with our capital improvement plan. And this is to make sure our emergency operations and our frontline apparatus and support apparatus are meeting the requirements for our vehicle replacement program. Do you have any questions on that?
How many boats do we have?
We have one right now that's 30 years old.
And you getting rid of that one, right?
Yeah, it's 30 years old. It's not really a fire rescue boat. That was given to us by the police department, and some of the rescues we had at the Inner Harbor were people jumping off the bridge. It's not really the safest thing for our firefighters when they're rescuing people in the harbor. So this new boat is going to be spec'd out, especially with the development in the Inner Harbor. It's going to be able to put out fires, which this current boat can't do. It's going to have a pump on it, so it's going to meet all the needs for rescue and fire.
Okay, because I heard boats. I thought you guys had a spare.
No, but it's a 30.
go
We have a
fishing.
30-year-old boat, fishing boat.
It's a kayak.
How many ambulances?
Right now we have 2. We're looking at purchasing another one.
The third one on this one?
This will be the third one. We started running our ambulance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on Monday, so we need to get more ambulances in service just for when we do preventive maintenance on the front line. We have to be able to have a backup to go to be in. So this is typically we probably need with the way we're operating now, we need to buy an ambulance every 5 years. Our ambulance is running the wheels off of the ambulance we have now of this new operational program we're doing now, so we're going to need to stay on top of this.
So how many do you need? What's the ideal situation?
Right now, there's a metrics that you use to see how busy a ambulance is. 45%, without getting into the narrative of how that comes out, 45% is a high utilization rate. Some of our shifts this week have been up to 86%. So we're gonna figure this out over the next week or two, collect some data, and then figure out what's next with our operation. But it's clearly a service that's needed for our constituents. We're meeting that right now, but the way it is right now, we have to figure out how to sustain it. And the way we're currently doing it, we're probably gonna have to revamp some things in a few weeks, but we have to start and get some data and then go from there. And we have some great people helping me make sure it's done the right way.
I need to
Other
ask.
questions?
Yes, and maybe Frank Kaliva can answer this one. Yeah, you, Frank, hey.
I'm listening this time.
Okay, you're listening. What I want to ask is, I'm looking at, we've got, DPW came through for vehicles, fire's coming through for vehicles, police will probably be next if they haven't already come. So let me ask you this, when we go out to purchase vehicles, I'm sure you do, but just to clarify for me, do we bulk everything to get a better price for all of these vehicles we're buying?
So I could speak to the financial aspects of that, and I'm not sure if Rich is here. So Rich can talk about the purchasing, actually, but from a budgeting standpoint, we look at all of that, and we look at it now. We used to look at it pretty much on an annual basis and not project out. Tim now projects on and works with departments to project out on a 3 to 5 year basis, and works with Rich DeVesti to make sure that Rich knows what everybody's going to be buying. We know what the financial implications of that are, and then I'll let Rich talk about how we actually go out to purchase.
Cause y'all need me to come negotiate for y'all, cause buying all them trucks, we shouldn't be paying $68,000, we should be paying $35,000 for everything.
Well, each department has different specifications, so we get as many as we can, the same type, but the fire and police have different vehicles than DPW and water.
I know, but they're gonna, if we get them from the same person, negotiate, you gotta negotiate.
We get them through the county contract, so it's all on
Okay, it's off
contract.
the county, so we go, okay.
Chief, I have a question.
I think the common council needs a motorcade too, just.
Are you gonna drive it?
I'm just wondering, Richie's got a boat mechanic.
No, it needs to be replaced, that's ready. 30 year, no, most of the mechanics can fix boats, it's just another piece of machinery. But once they get to be that old, they're not, you need something new, needs to be updated.
Thank you. Chief, I have a question, and you might not have the answer right now, which is fine. You can get it later. How much is our time percentage-wise? And like I said, you can answer it later. Just think about it. Do our fire department go to the university area? Like, going up there and...
Yeah, I can get all that data
Okay.
of all the responses we've
Yep.
had. Just the big picture, last year we went on 25,000 alarms, which is more than half the alarms in the county for a fire department. So our department goes on half the alarms that all of Onondaga County sees. And because of the population and the density, a significant amount of our calls are up in that university, SU, east side area.
Okay. And my second question, which is totally off, that fire that was on the highway.
Yes.
I'm blessed and thankful that everybody was okay and you guys took care. Did that take mostly all of the, different stations?
It was a unique fire, being on an elevated highway bridge where there's no water supply. Once we got our apparatus there and we were able to hook up the fire hydrants, and we have the trucks that we're bringing in front of you today to buy, they have elevated master streams, so we were able to have firefighters up to flow water from on the elevated stream from hose lines, and we had the elevated streams from the street level that were hooked up to hydrants. So
wow.
There's pretty much, it was a tough fire, but once we got a plan together, we were able to mitigate it pretty rapidly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, I got another question as well.
Yes.
As far as stations around the city, are they evenly dispersed amongst the quadrants, or is like, how do you?
So there was a redevelopment plan for response that happened in the late 70s, early 80s, and the goal was to be able to have every neighborhood in the city have an apparatus respond within 3 minutes. That's how it was put together back in the 70s, and as you know, there's been several fire station closures that have affected that, but so we're just making the best out of what we have to try to respond the best we can. But right now, what the plan was when it was put together with all the fire stations, some of them aren't open, but the ones that are open, we're still responding. and we've got more calls than we've had in a long time, so.
Is there a central station that you would consider like central?
We do have one on Adams and State Street that would be the most centrally located.
Okay.
But that's probably the most centrally located one we have.
Gotcha. All right.
Quick question, back to the ambulance. Have you started billing for services yet?
We have a third-party biller that's going to do all the billing for us. We're just finishing up paperwork. I had a phone call today. We'll be able to retroactively go back for, I believe, maybe a year prior. So all the calls we went on a year prior, we're going to be able to bill for those services.
And who are you billing? The individual that you picked up?
Yep, we're going to bill the patient if they have insurance, just type like every other ambulance service does.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Other questions?
All
Are
set.
you sure? You got your more okay? All right.
And before I ask for a motion, I
do
just
mine.
want to. Oh, shoot! I'm forgetting about you. Okay, Councilor Allen.
It's okay.
Are you guys all set with me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I know. It's because I'm so quiet over here. So I have items 43 and 44.
Hey, councilors. Okay, for the first one, we are looking to amend Ordinance 178 from 2020. We sought and received council authorization to sell a property at 900 Highland Street to the Land Bank. It was at the time a wood house. Subsequent to this, it's no longer a wood house, it's a vacant lot. So we're just looking to change the language to reflect the present physical state of the property.
Okay. All right, thank you.
The last
And
one.
44?
We are seeking council authorization to sell a vacant lot at 1038 West, 1038 West Onondaga Street in the city. Looking to sell to an adjoining homeowner, but we're going to transfer it to the land bank. The land bank can do that since they're in the habit of doing this pretty efficiently.
But the adjacent homeowner is already interested in the property?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks all.
Now I can be ready?
Yep, you're good now.
But before I do go, I want to first say, shout out our DPW for going to Buffalo and helping the folks over in Buffalo because they were bombarded. And my Syracuse firefighters, because this week I actually watched them run from fire to fire to fire to fire. So I want to shout them out for the work that they do as well. And last but not least, SPD, where you at? I know you started the new year on a really, really tight rope with a murder on Christmas Eve and a murder on Christmas Day, and then the shooting just throughout the city all through the day. I know you guys are just scattered and spread thin, and I really want to let fire, police, DPW, engineer, you count too. But we just want to let you guys know that we appreciate your work. We appreciate what you do. And just keep working with us, and we'll keep working with you. We're not going to agree on everything all the time, but we'll get the job done for the citizens in 2023, okay?
And
All
water
righty.
too. Don't forget about the water main breaks. Come on now. How many we have this year so far? 12? December? Never mind.
So I need a
So
his
moved.
mouth is prime. I need a motion. So I need a second.
Let's go.
All in favor? Aye.